joined here today by Alastair Gordon. Hi Alastair, how are you doing?
How are you?
Good. You did a talk today called Unleashing the Potential of Technical Experts. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and you're coming in and you want to sort of change the way we think about leadership.
Yeah, I think most people think of leadership as people who lead people teams, and this has traditionally been the case, and it's where all the investment in organisations goes with training people leaders. A conference like this, there's probably 600 technical specialists. They might have a team, but quite often they might be leading a technology or a medical practice and what have you, and they have enormous leadership capabilities, and so we're trying to change the way organisations are thinking about leadership development and including technical professionals rather than just people leaders.
Excellent. Okay. And you came up with 3 quite interesting concepts in your talk today. The first one was talking about corporate theft, and I kind of relate to this. You sort of turn up with these big, great ideas, and then you talked about receiving the email to make up your own sort of developmental plan.
Yes.
Then it had to meet the KPIs of the organisation. And then,
it's scary, isn't it? People join a new company and they're massively engaged and they're really excited and what have you, and then organisational process takes over, and we all arrive to actually want to learn things and so on and so forth. But as soon as we try and put it into some sort of process and make it compliance, we destroy the meaning. And the story I'll tell very briefly was, we want to grow our careers and our capabilities, but as soon as we're asked to do an individual development plan by the HR team, it becomes very unfun, and then it becomes about the organisation rather than us, and then we give up and then we cut and paste and just ignore the whole process, really. It seemed to resonate with quite a few people.
It did, especially the cut and paste part, where you just sort of take last year's plan and put it into this year's plan.
Why bother? HR never read it anyway, so let's go for it.
Just sort of scroll down to the bottom.
Just change the year number and you'll be
exactly.
right.
Exactly. And the other part you talked about was organisational exile. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so this is a particularly scary piece for subject matter experts. So most organisations actually focus on trying to figure out who their high potential employees are, and they have a little 9-box grid that they do it with, a little tool and what have you. And I demonstrated, I think, in the talk that most organisations have a special box for subject matter experts, which is high performance but very low potential. So they're almost saying, if you're a technical subject matter expert, you can't be a high potential employee, and that's because they have this view that you can only be high potential if you lead people as opposed to lead knowledge. So I think that's a very flawed exercise. Generally speaking, when I talk to subject matter experts, they get very angry when they see that box and how it positions them. So again, it's something that organisations need to change.
And you were quite surprised that 4 people had heard about the grid in your talk today.
Yeah, well, because it's a secret leadership business. It's the sort of thing that senior executives get to talk about, but we're not allowed to know. So. Somewhere in your organisation, someone's decided whether you've got great potential or not, but they're not going to tell you. Because if you have got it, you might go and tell everybody else who hasn't got it, and if you haven't got it, they don't want to have the difficult conversation with you.
Exactly.
So it's crazy stuff, really. We're all adults. They should just trust us.
And let me just check that I've got my understanding of that box grid. I guess for everyone else who's not here today, it talked about potential and leadership. That is, isn't it? And up the other side was performance, and it had medium, low, and high. Low, medium, high. Yes. And ideally, you want to be in that top corner, don't you?
Yes, it's the thing they call the green pool. So if you're high in performance and you're high on potential, then you're in the green pool and you're well looked after and they want to hang on to you. If you're in the red pool, then you're at the bottom, so low performance, low potential. So we want to export you as quickly as possible. But subject matter experts who could quite easily be in the green pool are always put in this sort of weird box off to the left.
Sort of off to the left, isn't they?
Yeah. So they can be forgotten and sent over there into purgatory.
Okay. And then the third part of your talk, you talked about the blind regaining sight. And in particular, you mentioned a guy called Tony.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about Tony?
Yeah, so Tony classically is, the classic subject matter expert. He's in IT, software engineer, 12 years, knows everything about the systems. As soon as anything goes wrong, people run up to him and fix things. But he's fundamentally unhappy. He's well paid, but he's unhappy because he's just fixing things all the time. He doesn't have any influence. He doesn't feel he's valued by his business, his organisation as much as he should be. And he thinks it's all the organisation's fault. And so he's blind to the fact that actually he's contributing quite a bit to that with his behaviour, and he's negative towards people and so on. So really talked about the journey that he'd had and many other subject matter experts where they have a bit of a broader view about how they have to influence their organisation, and they have to, embrace emotional intelligence and being nice to people and building relationships. And it's not all about the knowledge, but it's also about really adding value to the organisation they're working for. And so Tony's a classic example. He's gone from being quite disengaged to super engaged in his organisation, just with a little bit of nurture. That's all.
Nurture, I like that word. Yeah. And you gave a really good graph of sort of corporate climbing, sort of jumping up the leadership ladder, I call it. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yes, no, the leadership ladder is absolutely right.
And you had the other on the other side, the sort of squiggle that kind of fell to the ground. And then how we can get them over to the other side in a sense.
So typically technical subject matter experts operate at, they might fix something that's really simple, or the next moment they'll be doing something highly complicated, and they do all of those things in the same day. So their day is a complete mix, whereas on the people leadership side, it's very simple. There's a nicely structured ladder, and you go further up. And as we all know, senior leaders do no work, so they just get us to do it all. But subject matter is quite different. And that's a problem for subject matter experts because they don't know how to do their time management. They don't know how to focus on things where they can add most value. So we've structured a similar sort of ladder, if you like, for subject matter experts, and that was really the punchline of the talk, which is that you need to have that sort of career pathing and development pathing for technical subject matter experts as well.
And so where can you find that pathway? You talked about sort of self-awareness and then two other points at the end of it.
So we've looked around for 3 months, big research effort to see if we could find a good competency framework for subject matter experts. We couldn't, so we created one. So there's a website, www.kleader.com.au, which has it on it, and people can download it for free and what have you. And the purpose really of the talk was to say to technical subject matter experts, take control of your own development. Take a look at that and figure out which bits you're good at and which bits you need to develop, and don't worry about the HR department and the IDP. Make your own development path and commit to it and grow. In other words, get back to that enthusiasm that we had the day we joined the organisation.
And then there was a comment made at the end which was quite interesting. That someone said, how could you find that someone needs to have that talk when they don't have the self-awareness in the first place?
Yes, well that's right, and that's the big challenge. So the vast majority of people who we talk about the program to think they're as expert as they already are, and they don't need fixing. Don't you fix me? So that is the challenge, and what we do is we suggest to everybody, what's your personal brand? 3 questions. What is your current personal brand? What do you think it is? What would you like it to be? And then, are you sure that your personal brand is like that? Have you asked anybody else? Because if they start getting feedback, then they begin to get a sense of they need to do something about it.
Sounds like it was a great talk. So thanks so much for coming today.
All right, okay, thank you very much indeed.
All right, thanks.
Okay, bye.